Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. My best friend physically attacked me because of his feelings for my girlfriend. English not my first language, also I'm a mess and on strong painkillers. So me 27 male and Mark 26 male have been best friends since we were 16 years old. We bonded over both wanting the same career path. After years of struggling and tons of rejection, my career for the past year has finally been taking off, while Mark's has not. I've spent so much time trying to help him, also this past year trying to encourage and help him. We even lived together as roommates from ages 20 to 23 and shared everything. But about 6 months ago, his attitude towards me changed. He started making me the butt of his jokes, saying belittling and demeaning things. I was, kind of a happy-go-lucky type of guy, and I just brushed it off, thinking he was just a little jealous and having a hard time and was understanding of his situation. I get it, it's a harsh environment to want to work in with tons of rejections, and seeing your friends suddenly get the success you have always dreamt of. And then there is my now ex-girlfriend Emily, 26 female. I thought we had the perfect relationship, together 5.5 years. Good communication, good intimate life. She stood by me all these rough years trying to get ahead in this career path. I'm also a big oversharer and love to talk to her about everything. We had no secrets and were very honest, or so I thought. I always made effort to keep the relationship fresh and fun. Date nights about twice a week, surprise her with gifts, trips, trying to do new things together, cooking classes, dance classes. I just loved sharing experiences with her, even indulged in her hobbies. Made sure she knew she was my number one person. And I thought I felt the same from her. Even as my career took off, I made sure not to prioritize her any less or any of my friends. I need a good work-life balance to feel happy. Then last week, we were all at our friend's house, Tom and Katie, both 27, at a house they recently bought. We were sitting in their yard drinking, along with Bill, 26 male, and Jane, 27 female. We have been a friend group for 7 years. So we are all drinking, and Mark gets drunk pretty quick, and all night he is taking these jabs at me and saying things. And after 6 months of this, I just had enough. The others also told him to take it down a notch, as he tried to disguise these comments as jokes, but he was just being hurtful and rude. But around midnight, a little drunk, I just had enough and call him out, which ends in an argument, and I end up saying, thinking this all stems from his jealousy of my recent success, that it's not my fault he doesn't have the talent to make it, and mention all I've tried doing for him so he could get opportunities as well. Then he just attacks me, we shove each other a bit, but he manages to knock me down, kicks me in the ribs a couple of times, then he tries to stomp on the head. Luckily he doesn't hit me full force. I feel the sole of his feet hit my cheek and slip off, but it was hard enough that my face is still swollen. Then he does it again, but I moved and just see his heel land full force inches from my face. He could have broken my skull, or worse killed me, had he landed on my head. Then the other guys get in between. I stand up and yell if he is crazy. He seems to be walking off, but he picks up a wooden plank that Tom and Katie had around as they are redoing the fence and building a shed in the garden. Then he lunges at me again and swings it towards my head. I kind of duck and put my hand up so he hits my elbow pretty hard. Again, he could have unalived me 2 times in a matter of seconds. He almost hit Jane with the swing too, so all hell breaks loose, and Tom and Bill jump him and beat him up pretty bad as they were just seeing red from what happened. The girls manage to get them off Mark, and they kind of realize what they did. It's just emotional chaos at this point, and we are all kind of in shock. Mark sits up, and Emily sits with him, and there is a lot of blood in his face, but he didn't lose consciousness. Katie ends up driving Mark to the hospital and gets back in the morning. Mark had a broken nose and a slight concussion, and she dropped him off at his parents'. She said Mark didn't really talk to her, nor explain himself or even apologize. None of us really slept that night, and honestly after that, things are a bit blurry to me. Probably a mix of alcohol, shock and adrenaline, and the worst night of my life. But it just got worse. You might have noticed I haven't mentioned Emily for a while. We are sitting around, and Tom says something like Mark deserved worse than a broken nose for trying to end me twice and almost hurting Jane. Then Emily, who has been quiet, suddenly snaps and defended Mark, saying he doesn't deserve any of this and that he just has been having a hard time. Tom and Emily almost end up in a screaming match before Emily storms off. I follow her, thinking, okay, we are all in shock and sleep deprived, and plan to comfort her. I find her in the guest room crying. I tell her I understand and we are in shock and maybe we should just try to get some sleep. She doesn't even look at me, and suddenly I realize Mark and Emily were sitting next to each other the previous evening, not the first time. When Mark was screaming at me, Emily was by his side, tugging at his arm, pleading him to take a walk with her and calm down. To Mark, not me. After Mark kicked me, stomped on me, swung a plank at me, her attention was still on calming him down. While I laid down in pain, she didn't even check on me. When the guys were beating Mark, she was screaming in hysterics trying to pull them off him. I don't even remember her asking me once if I was okay all night. So I ask her, "Are you cheating on me with Mark?" And she just starts crying hysterically and repeating she never intended for it to go this far. And I got my answer, and I just lost it and start yelling at her what is going on and how she can do this. The others come in, and the guys take me to another room and try to calm me down. Jane and Katie end up driving Emily to her parents, and Jane ends up staying with her, as apparently they were worried about her. All the car ride she cried so much she couldn't speak. When they got to her parents, Jane and Emily's dad had to help her up the stairs and into bed, as she barely stood up as she was just in hysterics still. And the only thing she managed to say, or scream according to them, was that she had ruined everything. So Jane stayed as her parents were worried sick, and never seen her like this. Jane and Katie told them what had happened with Mark and me, and it seemed to stem from Mark and Emily's affair. Then 5 days pass. I'm just in so much physical and emotional pain. Just so angry and confused. My elbow has a fracture, got a couple of bruised ribs, and the right side of my face swollen. The night is on repeat in my head. I sent Emily some texts asking for an explanation, but she didn't answer. Then this morning I get a call from her mother, and bless their heart, my former in-laws are amazing people, and always been so kind to me and helped me though a lot these past years. She is very apologetic for her daughter and is very understanding. Then she says that Emily wants to see me and talk, and if I could come over, which I agreed to. I arrive and they say they will go outside and wait in their car to give us space, but because of the state Emily is in, they don't want to leave the premise. I walk in, and when I see Emily, it's a roller coaster of emotion, anger, and bitterness. Then I felt sorry for her and just wanted to hug her. She looked awful, like a mental patient. Like she hadn't eaten, showered, or slept since that night. I just felt so bad seeing her like that and had to restrain myself not to run over and take her in my arms. So I just sat down facing her. She said I could ask her anything and she would be honest, and kept repeating how sorry she is and that she has ruined everyone's lives. I'm not going to go into too much details as this is long enough, but basically a year ago, Mark confessed his love for Emily and has been very persistent since then. She said she made it clear it wasn't mutual. I asked why she didn't come to me, and she says she didn't want to ruin our friendship and wanted to fix things. Then these last months he has become more aggressive, asking her to leave me for him. I asked if anything had happened. She said they kissed twice, and Mark initiated both times, but she stopped it. And they once cuddled over a movie that Mark tried to initiate X, and then she left and set clear boundaries. I asked why she kept seeing him alone if he was constantly trying to kiss her and get her into bed, and she said he always promised he wouldn't do it again. I asked why she didn't cut contact, why she kept answering his DMs, kept meeting him, giving him false hope and leading him on, if she liked his attention. Then she said the strangest thing, that she felt bad for him, felt sorry for him, felt protective of him like she was his big sister or some nonsense, and that she needed to help him get over her, that she even set him up on a date with a friend, which he sabotaged by being a jerk to the girl. I asked her if she was stupid. If she was telling the truth, she did nothing but keep his hope and crush for her alive, by keep giving him all her time. She started crying and doubled down on having a sister-brother relationship with him and wanting to fix everything, and that he was just having a hard time and she wanted to help him to get on his feet again. But he kept getting more persistent and started talking about me in a bad way and that I didn't deserve her. She says she regrets everything and said she was just stupid and had ruined everything and dealt with everything in the worst way possible, but that she did it in good faith, not realizing she was just making things worse. Then I ask her if she has had any contact with him since that night, and she takes this awkward pause before starting bawling her eyes out and saying yes. That just destroyed me, completely ruined me. This man, for over a year, tried to get with her, tried to end me, and I wait 5 days for her to answer me, only for her mother to call me on her behalf, and meanwhile she is texting with him. I couldn't answer, I just felt like hurting her. Not physically, but emotionally, so I decided to just get up and go. She pleads with me, offers to show me the texts, saying she just checked if he was okay, and then the discussion went to her telling him it's over and to stop contacting her. But for me, she made her choice. I was in the worst pain in my life these last 5 days because of them, and she still chose to continue to talk to him while I was on my own. I walk out with her following me pleading, and I'm not proud of this, but her mom and dad get out of the car and ask if everything is alright, and I just lost it. I yell that their C-word of a daughter has ruined my life. How she could choose the man who tried to stomp on my face over me. I was so angry I couldn't even drive, so I just start walking away. I don't know for how long I was walking, but my ex's dad drives next to me, tells me to get in. which I do, expecting him to yell at me or tell me off. But bless his heart, he just drives me home. We didn't talk all the way, but when he stopped outside of my place, he put his hand on my shoulder. I couldn't even look him in the face after what I said to them. Emily did text me screenshot of their texts, which seems to prove what she said, that she only checked if he was okay and then said she couldn't keep him in his life, that she would never forgive him for attacking me. She also sent more screenshots of their previous chats, mostly of her telling him to stop, that she didn't have feelings for him, and of her rejecting his advances. But as they have been talking for over a year, I guess she could cherry-pick parts of the conversations that look in her favor and leave other parts of texts out. I have not responded yet and I don't think I ever will. I will block her, but for some reason I just can't yet. Now I'm here just getting this all out of me. I just feel so betrayed and angry and horrible. I want to hurt Emily and Mark so bad, not in a violent way, just emotionally. Make them feel the pain I'm feeling. And I know that's not a healthy way to feel, or a healthy thing to do, so I hope just writing this out, even if no one reads this, will help me start to process what the hell has happened. How my life went from feeling perfect to feeling like I will never feel good again. I feel like this pain will never go away. How on earth can someone heal from this? I feel like I lost everything. The people I used to love with all my heart, I feel nothing but hatred for now. I know Emily said she didn't cheat as in slept with him, which I doubt because I'm not stupid. Even if they didn't, she still betrayed me on so many levels, as did Mark. I don't think I will ever forgive them. I don't feel like I will ever get in a place where I would even consider trying to. So to anyone who has ever been through a betrayal like this from partners or friend or both, what is my next step? How can I do to begin the process to just stop thinking about this and just start trying to live my life again? Now for the top advice. How on earth can someone heal from this? You go no contact and get therapy to help you process your grief over being betrayed by two people you trusted, one of which tried to end you. It's almost a meme on Reddit to always recommend therapy, but in your case, you know the relationship with Emily is broken beyond repair, and what you're specifically struggling with is all the horrible emotions that you now have to process, manage, and heal from. This is exactly the sort of problem therapy is meant to help you heal from. I'd also consider filing charges against Mark, for obvious reasons. I also can't emphasize enough how much you should not work things out with Emily, but I would recommend writing her parents a letter apologizing for your behavior. They were good to you, you feel bad about what you said to them, and apologizing is the right thing to do. The letter is a good idea. I will definitely do in the next few days when my head is a little clearer. They don't deserve to be caught in the middle of this. And yeah, I think therapy might be a good idea. I've talked about this with the others in the friend group, but I find it hard. It might help to talk to a professional to dig deeper. As for filing charges, that has been brought up as well, and all of them have said they would testify on my behalf and tell what happened. And a part of me wants to do it just to hurt Mark, but another part of me just wants this to be over and never see him again. Hun, he tried to cave your skull in after trying to knob your now ex-girlfriend for a year, and now she's supposedly cut contact after this, which dubious if she'll stick to that. Do you really want to risk him trying again? If he feels he's lost his chance or has nothing to lose, he could very well escalate. Please don't put yourself at risk by ignoring that. At the very least, making the report will be useful if tries to claim you attacked him or start stalking you after this. Please go to the police. You don't know what he might try to do now. Well, Mark and Emily are both trash. Mark has obviously been jealous of you for a while. You should definitely block both of them and move on with your life. Emily is playing trickle truth. First it was just talking, then he tries to kiss her but nothing else happened. Her actions after he attacked you tell you all you need to know. She ran to check on him, she defended his actions to your friends, she texted to make sure he was okay after ignoring your calls. This woman does not deserve you. Mark is a walking disaster, he is what she deserves, leave them to it. I promise you will find someone better. Right now, you're likely focusing on the amount of time you've known these people, which makes it harder to walk away. You didn't know the real Mark or Emily, you knew the people they pretended to be. The masks are now off, and what you see is what you will get. Also, it sounds like there are clues that Mark hasn't been your friend for a while. I would suggest some self-reflection on why you chose stick around for his mistreatment. I wish you all the best. Do not turn to alcohol. When you feel restless, hit the gym or take a walk. Thank you for the response. I will take time to do a lot of self-reflecting. I want to come out of this all as a stronger and better person, but it will be a long and hard road to take, I guess. And for the alcohol, honestly, since alcohol was involved when it happened, it feels kind of like a part of the trauma and I have no longing for it. Hope it stays that way, but will definitely be wary of it. Maybe the longing will come when I stop on the painkillers, but I need to face this head on and sober. We all have that internal voice that tells us when something is not right. You knew Mark was not joking, he was being passive-aggressive. After the first few interactions, a conversation should have happened to find out the problem, or you should have ended the friendship. You went out of your way to help Mark with his stalled career, and he still chose to not only betray you, but to assault you. Some people do not know how to receive kindness. Sadly, you cannot fix them. Yes, you're right. I think in a way I still had hopes his career would turn around soon, and everything would fall back into place. I also was judging from my own perspective of watching people around me get all the opportunities, and feeling slightly bitter. Although I never expressed it, I just thought that was what was happening. But yes, I should have confronted him sooner. Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. Update. My sister ended herself and I'm not sad about it, and husband won't stop begging for forgiveness. Original post. So I 28 female, have been with my husband 30 male for 9 years and married for 2. Me and my sister 26 female were never really close, though we didn't hate each other. Anyways, I've been suspicious of my husband cheating on me for a while, and went through his phone while he slept. That when I saw a text on a texting app he has on his phone that read, "I really do love you and the love we make, but I'm tired of being your little secret. This has been going on for too long, and you need to tell her or I will." My heart dropped. I woke my husband up screaming at him, and showed him the text and he admitted to everything. He just started crying and telling me that the text came from my sister, and that they've been sleeping together since the night before our wedding. He then said she begged him not to marry me, and he told her no because he loved me, and they had hooked up for the first time that night. And the second time was on her 25th birthday 3 months later, where she threw a party we both attended. He went to use the bathroom and she followed him, and seduced him and he couldn't stop himself, and then came back to the party like nothing happened. And they continued doing it any time they could ever since. He told me the story through sobs, and I couldn't stop crying and screaming how could he do this to me, and with my sister. I broke stuff in the house, even went full on waiting to exhale, and burned his clothes on the grill. He begged and pleaded that it'll never happen again, that he'll cut her off and we can move away from everybody and start over just us. I just spit in his face and told him that I hated him and never wanted to see him again. I went to my parents' house that night and told them everything. They didn't believe me at first, but he called me and I put him on speakerphone while he confessed more, begged and pleaded, and my parents believed everything. The next day my sister came to my parents' house. She saw me crying on the couch and asked me what was wrong, and I just snapped. I didn't say a word and just beat her up. She had a black eye and I knocked a tooth out. My dad broke us up, and my mom slapped her so hard across the face she started crying. Before I could tell her I knew everything, my mom already spilled the beans and called her a cheap woman and pushed her outside. She begged my mom to forgive her, not me, and I'm the one she betrayed. Word spread around about what happened fast. He wouldn't stop trying to win me back. He kept showing up to my job, followed me to the bank, popped up randomly in grocery stores, and even made a post on Facebook admitting to what he did, and expressed his love and guilt, and he accepted all the backlash he got. But I didn't care. I told him to go screw himself. I guess he hasn't been seeing my sister since everything went down, because a friend of mine sent me a screenshot of a post she made saying something like, "I can't believe this." For 2 years he held, kissed me, made love to me, and made me feel like I was his world. And just ghost me like the last 2 years didn't happen. Why is this happening to me? Why can't you just answer the phone? Why don't you love me anymore? I guess people put 2 and 2 together and she got a lot of backlash, and it wasn't too long before her post was deleted along with her Facebook. I was angry this witch got a lot of nerve to cry about my husband, so I drove to her apartment and tried to get her to open the door, but she called the police on me so I left. She had to quit her job because her coworkers found out and shunned her. She had no more friends because they didn't trust her, and my parents refused to speak to nor acknowledge her. Last Monday on the 16th, I got a call saying my sister was dead, and it was self-inflicted. I didn't know how to feel. I didn't want her to die, but I could care less about her well-being at the same time. We just got her last note, and she explained how she felt so guilty for falling in love with my husband and betraying me, but that she couldn't help her feelings for him. She said she can't continue to live this way knowing everyone hates her and especially me, and she knows she shouldn't feel this way because I was the one that was betrayed. I don't believe it. I think the real reason she did it is because he doesn't want to see her anymore. I know my sister, and when she falls hard. Picture Cassie from Euphoria. Besides, since everything came to light, she would text him begging for him to talk to her and sending voicemails about how she needs him and to talk to her or she'll end herself. My husband sent me a screenshot every time she texts, even let me listen to the voicemail. I don't plan on going to her funeral, and I don't plan on letting my parents hear that voice message because they're already in a huge wreck. They won't bother me about not going, and they understand why. They will be paying for all the funeral arrangements. As for my husband, I still love him so deeply, but I hate him at the same time. Part of me wants to try to work it out just to spite that dead witch, and the other part has morals. I can't picture my life without him, but every time I see him, I picture him with her, and I refuse to live the rest of my life torturing myself like that. Just needed to get this off my chest since she just died, so I can't really talk to anybody in the real world like this. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Sweet Jesus, this is a lot. Yes, move. Get a new start. I feel a lot of blame needs to go in the direction of your husband. Such betrayal on his part too. Keep strong and keep talking with family and friends. Something like this can be very difficult to process, even if at first you don't feel much, can be the shock of it all. I had a best friend do this and found counseling helped a lot. A lot to unpack in this situation, so highly recommend a professional to help you process it all and move on. Time helps a lot too, as hard as that is. He went to use the bathroom and she followed him and seduced him and he couldn't stop himself. He could have stopped himself, but he didn't. It takes two to tango. Sure, OP blames her sister, but I hope she realizes that her husband shares just as much blame and she doesn't do something stupid like taking him back and placing all the blame on her sister. He wasn't forced in that bathroom or the night before his wedding. He willingly continued it for 2 years behind her back. With all the tragedy in this story, I'm most baffled by how people still write lengthy private messages and confessions on their Facebook wall like it was 2011. Seriously, and I barely use Facebook. I agree personal business is not for Facebook, and that humiliated me even more. It would be more humiliating if you got back with him. Wish you the best, OP. Find a good therapist and work through this crap before it works through you. And please, for the love of God, don't get back together with that tool. Being a cheater is a personality trait. Someone either does it or doesn't. There's no one-time thing with this. Man, OP, I can't even fathom being in that kind of situation. You've had an awful sister and have an awful husband. You have every right to move on from him, and if y'all don't have kids, this is a good opportunity to start fresh and create new peace in your life. Ultimately, it's up to you to decide how you proceed, but if I were in your shoes, I would block him out of your life. If you decide to do that, ensure you have a support system, whether it be friends, family, or a therapist, and make the necessary arrangements to ensure your safety isn't compromised, given he has a history of stalking. I wish you all the best. We don't have kids, fortunately, and as hard as it's been, I've officially blocked him and changed my number. I'm thinking about going to Iowa just to get away from his stalking, and I do plan on divorcing him even though I'm dreading it. And now for the update. I'm going to answer some questions because people are being really nasty towards me or simply not comprehending what I wrote and how I wrote it. 1. Why aren't you angry with your husband? Why did he get off so easily? I am angry with him. I burned his clothes, I even spit in his face, and that is the most disrespectful thing you can do to a person. Was it wrong? Yes, but I did it. Plus, I'm 5'7", 140 pounds to his 6'3", 230 pounds. It is not physically possible for me to kick his butt the way I did my sister, who is the same height and weight as me. Also, he did receive a lot of backlashes, but he chose to accept the backlash he got and face it head on. Most of this backlash came from people that know and love me. A lot of his male friends didn't shun him, because I don't know, they're men I guess. His friends could care less that he slept with his wife's sister. I do still love him because love doesn't just go away after 9 years together because of a heartbreak, but I will be divorcing him. And the courts will rule in my favor because of all the evidence I have from the cheating. 2. You and your family have been mistreating your sister for years because you attacked her and your mom slapped her. This one really got to me. No, my parents were never abusive towards me or my sister. We never got a spanking of any sort growing up. My mother slapping my sister was the first time she has ever laid her hands on anyone. Was it wrong? Yes. But talking about my mother like she's the devil incarnate for one slap to the face for an unforgivable act is nowhere near as bad as what I did to her. Yes, I attacked her because, like I said in a comment, I reacted with a fit of rage. I saw red and only red, hence why I spit in my husband's face. It was wrong to attack her, and it certainly isn't my proudest moment. I'm not a violent person, but I did choose violence because I have never experienced a hurt or betrayal that severe in that exact moment, and I thought with my emotions, and not logic. I do feel bad for attacking her, and if I could change it I would, but I can't. 3. You drove your sister to ending herself by bullying her, and why did the community shun her but not your husband? I didn't make this clear in my post, but I did not once bash or harass her online. The most I did to her was attack her in my parents' home. I was not behind any backlash she received for her actions. Did I try to stop the backlash? No, I didn't. I knew it was going on and didn't care to stop it nor defend her. I was not going to defend her for sleeping with my husband. I thought she should deal with the consequences of her actions. I guess the real reason for that, even I can admit, is because women are always the first to be shamed. If you sleep with your sister's husband, you're a cheap woman. If man sleeps with his wife's sister, then he's a cheating idiot. I hate double standards as much as the next person, but people will always act them whether we like it or not. And no, she never tried to text or reach out to me to explain why she did it nor apologize, which is a major reason I didn't believe the note. 4. You went to her apartment. What we're going to do if she opened the door? I know what I would not have done. I had no intentions on attacking her physically again. I did that already. But I did have questions. I wanted to know why, how long, what was he not telling me that she can? I asked all these questions on the outside of the door. But I don't blame her for not opening the door because I wasn't knocking softly, nor asking my questions in a very nice tone. Once again, I had no intention of attacking her again. And the reason I used a throwaway with a random avatar is because the same people that shunned her are the same people that believe she was truly sorry, because ending herself proves it, so I can't vent to everyone in the real world. Yes, my sister is gone. No, the grief didn't hit me yet. My husband isn't the only one that broke my heart and trust. My sister did too. She wasn't some random woman that didn't know he was a married man. She was my blood sibling that attended our wedding, slept with him the day before my wedding, and continued to do so. Call me evil all you want, but I don't believe she was sorry for what she did to me. I think she was sorry for not just getting caught, but the consequences that came with it. Because if I never went through his phone, I never would have saw that text, and never would have known. And this could have gone on with them for another 2+ years without me knowing a thing. She would still be alive, yes, but screwing my husband while waiting to have him all to herself. Also, I did type something really harsh, not going to retype it, but I do still love my sister, just as I still love my husband. But I won't be forgiving him for what he did to my family, and I'm not sure how anybody honestly got from my lack of grief that I was celebrating my sister's death. No, I am not glad she died, but I am not sad. That grief will hit sooner or later, I don't know when, but it will. And I made the decision to attend her funeral tomorrow. I'm not going with intentions to ruin everything or have a full-blown tantrum. People read a few sentences and think they know what type of person I am. Just my opinion, but I hate when people say someone is clearly sorry after doing something like that over and over again. If someone is willing to do something over and over knowing it is bad and exactly what they are doing, they really were not sorry to me. She's been doing this for what, like 2 years? She never felt bad about it, and if she did feel bad, it wasn't enough to stop herself. People like that only care when they're caught and can't handle the repercussions, or else they would have stopped after the first few times. I can see her getting caught up in the thrill and not thinking about it, but after doing it and then facing you at a party. She definitely had time to understand her actions and why they were wrong well before she was caught. Being sorry doesn't undo doing it with OP's husband. Also, being sorry is the bare minimum in this case. I thought OP's reaction was relatively measured, considering the severity of the betrayal. Once she got her emotions under control, she was perfectly reasonable in her actions, in my opinion. People rush to make saints out of the dead. My dad shot himself, partially due to our relationship falling apart. But it is not my fault, it never will be. I'm really curious as to how your scumbag husband has took her death. I don't know, haven't spoken to him since I found out she was gone. You don't have to explain yourself to anybody, you did nothing wrong. Divorce him and go to therapy, it will be a long and hard road, but you got this. I think most emphatic people will understand why you reacted the way you did. When you provoke, betray, hurt someone to that degree, don't come in with some bull about how someone should behave. I saw that one comment to you, and it seemed that person wanted to brag about themselves and their family. I don't know what that person is going through to make them attack you to big themselves up, but it's very transparent. Wishing you all the best moving forward. Forget about how you reacted in the past. Temporary insanity is a thing. I think most people may very well react the way you did, if not worse. Last story. So my 40 female best friend from high school, 40 female, got my husband 41 male, drunk and high, then slept with him, while her husband 40 male watched. I think it started around 2016 that they had their drunken group activity, but after that, my best friend started blackmailing my husband into just hooking up with her. saying she would tell me and ruin his life at home, or that she could get him fired from his job. He kept trying to cut things off with them, block their number. But then they would call him and threaten him from other people's phones. He hadn't talked to her in months, then she just showed up outside the office and said that she was watching him and that he better stop ignoring her. He came home distraught and decided to tell me everything, because he feels he can't get away from the mess he made. The situation totally explained why over the past few years, his paranoia, anxiety, depression, and problem drinking have greatly increased, causing problems in our marriage. The whole time she was telling him I was cheating on him too. I have never, but he would accuse me of stuff. Only after he told me about sleeping with my former best friend, did he realize they had been basically brainwashing him. I am actually not mad at my husband. It happened when we were briefly separated, and he has a history of being used and makes bad decisions when he drinks, and she has a history of sleeping with married men. I knew she was a snake, I just never thought she would bite me. I am needing advice on what to do. Do I go to the police and make an incident report, or go ahead with a restraining order? I know she has pictures too. My husband is a teacher and afraid that she will send them to his school and get him fired. Now for the top advice. Police. That is blackmailing and more horrible crime. Gather as much evidence as you can. Also get a restraining order. I agree, unfortunately my husband had deleted their messages until last November, so I don't have much from his side. I guess we will go to the police department this afternoon. I would speak to a lawyer first. His employment is tangled up in this. I would make sure you both understand what the potential consequences will be for reporting this to the police. Please understand, your husband has been grievously violated and used by these people. However, they can still seriously harm him. Make sure you have your legal ducks in a row before you start the ball rolling with the police. A chat with the police wouldn't hurt. You might try to get in front of this with the school too, unless you live in some kind of crazy town. He is a new teacher, and he is really scared to make any waves. I don't know who he is going to bring it up, but he needs to.